Joe presents Swanny's Cricket Show, together with Rubicon.
Here we go. Welcome to Swanny's Cricket Show here on Joe together with Rubicon. I'm Nick Bright, and this is
what a man.
He's not Graham Swan. What's going on?
Yeah, sorry, mate. I mean, I got the late call up for Swanny. I mean, he's sunning himself in the Caribbean. I thought taking over from Andrew Strauss when I took his shoes were big shoes to fill. But I can tell you, I've not been this nervous for ages.
It's Nick Compton, everyone. Come on. Let's get in here, Nick.
Let's do it.
Go on, the big C.
Oh, let's sit down in Swanny's Cricket Show studio with his name above the door and everything. He's not even here. Couldn't even be bothered to turn up,
What
mate.
an honour.
The reason he's not here, we should say actually, is he's in the West Indies at the moment, covering the West Indies-India Test match out there. I've been looking at his Twitter and his Instagram and all that, feeling severely jealous. We're going to hear from one of the heroes of Headingley on the show. We've got Sir Viv Richards as well, Sunil Gavaskar, Marcel Somerville, and we'll be trying to replicate one of Ben Stokes' best shots from the third Test. So there is so much going on the show. But let's start with you, Nick. How's your Ashes been so far? Have you been enjoying it?
Geez, it's been up and down. I've got a few more grey hairs. I'll tell you, that last match was just epic, wasn't it? I mean, it ebbed and flowed. I mean, Ben Stokes, what a hero. I mean, knight him now.
Yeah, but Nick, remember, Test cricket's dead. You know, that's what they're all saying.
Exactly. I mean, who would have thought they wanted a forward defence after all these years of banging the drum about a big front dog? I mean, Swanny didn't have a big front dog, did he? So at least I'm bringing something to the party. You know what I mean? But I just think it's alive. It's back alive. I think the English cricket needed that. They need heroes like Ben Stokes.
For me as well now, we're perfectly poised at 1-1 ahead of the fourth Test. We almost lost it. That's the thing is, because obviously Australia could retain the Ashes through if the scores were level because they already have them.
Of course.
It was so touch and go in that Test, and you know, to come in on that fourth day and for Ben Stokes to do what he did was unbelievable. I don't think I've ever seen anything like it.
No, but when you look at Test matches now, I mean, how many Test matches go to the fourth day, even the fifth day?
Yeah.
You know, the fact that this went to the last day, the fact that there was a hero at the end of it, the fact that it ebbed and flowed, hey, absolutely everything. And I mean, that's what I think one-day cricket has done for Test cricket. It's brought out players like Ben Stokes who can play innings like that. That would never have happened 10 years ago.
Well, you've played at the highest level, so how will that affect momentum going into the fourth Test?
Well, look, I think the week off, Australia have had a week off. I think that's probably going to play into their hands slightly. I think if the match had turned around very quickly, I mean, gee, who would have wanted to be an Australian? I mean, they must have had their heads up their backside, you know, following that. I mean, they must have been really in the doldrums, you know. I mean, to lose a game, you know, the captain, I mean, what was he doing? You know, that sort of... going to DRS at that sort of time. I mean, what they could have done with an extra DRS decision. I mean, all the things that you pontificate. I mean, but the quicker you can get over it and move on. I still think it's going to be a great series. I do. I don't think England or Australia have a strong enough team where one's that dominant. And I think if we're honest, Australia have probably been the stronger team. So I think it's still kind of level. I think, you know, England will take this momentum into the series, but it's going to be a hell of a last two matches.
Well, here's one for you. When Nathan Lyon stumbled for that run out, which would have won them the Ashes, would the Australia dressing room have been understanding when he went back to the dressing room, or do you think they'd have been upset?
I mean, Nathan Lyon got a barrage on Twitter. I mean, Matt Pryor was literally having a go. I saw the boys. I think there were quite a lot of English fans out there who were quite happy. I mean, Nathan Lyon, look, he is quite outspoken, but I think when you see something like happen, I mean, it's hard to take. I actually felt sorry for him. Yeah. I mean, to drop the ball like that, and I think Michael Vaughan said, Lyon, I think you just dropped the Ashes. And, you know, time will tell. We've got 2 matches left, but who'd want to be Nathan Lyon? I mean, he is a match winner. He's a great bowler, but it was such an easy ball. Right here, bang. Swanny would have done that in his sleep.
Don't big him up too much. How do they pick him up from this then?
Well, I think time lends itself to a bit of perspective, and there's still 2 matches left. And, you know, the Australian captain did say, look, we've played 70% of the cricket, which they actually have. You know, the team's still good. They're still doing well. They've got their big man, Steve Smith, who comes back from concussion. So, I mean, he's a major positive contributor to the series. I mean, he's a leading run scorer. He's their best player. He didn't even play in the last game. So, you know, you've got a man like that coming back in. He won't have any of the negativity from the last match. So a lot will be on him. Can he get another big 100? They've got this Marnus Labuschagne, who I think's been brilliant.
Yeah,
you know, another
really
South
good.
African, another overseas import, but for Australia this time, not English. So he's been a fantastic player. And of course, you know, their bowling attack. I mean, they might bring Stark back in.
Yeah.
You know, he hasn't played any test matches yet, and he's a really dangerous customer.
He looks really good in the warm-up game against the Derbyshire, didn't he?
Mate, he's rapid. 90 mile an hour, left armour. You know, England don't cope very well with left arm seam. I mean, to have a guy like that up your sleeve to come in for the last Test matches, you know, it's pretty ominous.
Well, let's focus on England's top order in the batting, because there's been some changes recently. We're going to see Joe Root drop down to 4. Are going to see Jason Roy drop down to 4. Joe Root's still going to come in at 3, and Denley is going to open. How do you think that's going to affect things / change things for England?
Well, it's been a struggle. I think a lot of people were saying that should have been the order at the start of the Test series. I think, you know, Joe Denley's opened the batting before. Jason Roy's never opened. So it's quite an English thing that we've taken Jason Roy from one-day cricket into Test match arena. It's so different, guys. I mean, the red ball swings, it seems, it does a hell of a lot more. So I think it's been a huge task for Jason Roy, and he just doesn't quite look up to it at the moment. I mean, he is facing some serious quality, but I think it does make logical sense. I mean, Jason Roy, if he is going to achieve, it's going to be against the older ball. And we've seen what he's done in one-day cricket. If some of that can come alive in the next 2 matches, I think we've got a real treat on our hands.
Are we seeing the old classic case of Joe Root getting the captaincy affecting his batting? Because he's batting at 3.
He does look tense. It does look tense. There's that tension on him. I thought he played very well in the last Test match innings. Slightly out of character. You know, he came in at 3. He had to rein himself in. And I think that's what happens at number 3. I'd like to see Joe Root bat at 4. I think that's his natural position. I think that's where he's most comfortable. But, you know, I did say 4 or 5 years ago, don't give the captaincy to Joe Root. We need him to be our Steve Smith. We need him to go out there and score so many runs for England. And, you know, we haven't quite got that at the moment. I think it is tough. He is trying to find his feet, but we don't need any more pressure on him at number 3.
What did you think when England were bowled out for 67 in that first innings?
I thought, oh dear, here we go again. I mean, that's England's 4th total under 150 in the last couple of years. So it's not good going. It's not something that is sort of making us as a fan brimful of confidence, thinking, oh, we're going into this Test match, we've got the top order. I think they're trying to find their feet. I think Australia are doing the same. And that's why it's quite even. But I think the sooner that the likes of Joe Root, Trevor Bayliss can find a really settled top order, the better for England, because we know we've got the powerhouse in the middle order.
Why do you think we're seeing on so many innings across the Ashes and beyond this collapse, you know, this domino effect, you know, players getting out cheaply?
Well, look, it's a bit like saying, you know, a lot of them are one-day players, so they don't have the techniques. Are they putting the work in, you know, at the top of the order? I mean, so much 2020 cricket, one-day cricket, so players are going out there and being ultra-positive, and they're realising that if you do that in Test cricket, it ain't the same. You know, the ball does swing, it does move, the conditions are slightly different. You've got bowlers that are highly skilled, you know, they can execute their skills time and time again. So if you look at the techniques and the defences, they're non-existent.
There must be a mental side of it, though, as well.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's practice, you know, learning how to bat for a day and spend a whole day out there comes with time. If you're not doing it regularly, if you're not practicing it regularly, don't think you can walk out there in front of sort of 70, 80,000 and think, hang on a minute, just because it's 5-day Test cricket, I can suddenly adapt my game. It's not that easy. You have to practice it. The likes of Trott, Cook, these masters of batting for long periods of time, spend hours doing it, you know, and the likes of Jason Roy, he's been playing 2020 cricket around the world and one-day cricket. So to be able to take that into a Test arena is definitely not easy.
Well, we focused on the big story with the bat. We should focus on the big story with the ball, which is Jimmy Anderson. James Anderson's not going to take any further part in this Ashes series. How much of a loss is that going to be for England?
Well, he's a big mate of Swanny's. I know how much they've played cricket together. I mean, Jimmy Anderson not playing an Ashes series, you know, it's a bit like not having you in the studio for this series, mate.
I like what you're saying there, but I don't think I'm that pivotal to this. Eh?
I mean, look, he's a massive loss. I mean, you know, his skill. I mean, if he could come in now for the last 2 Test matches, what a bolster that would be to the attack and to the team. You know, Chris Woakes probably would have missed out. In some ways, it allows Joe to have a bit of continuation, to take the team that he's had in the last 3 Test matches forward. But I think losing Jimmy Anderson, I mean, he is the archetypal English swing bowler. These are his type of conditions. And I think it's going to be tough for him to come back now. You know, these sort of, you know, he's got a dodgy bloody calf, hasn't he? And I don't know how long that's going to linger around for.
Especially as you get older, with all due respect to Jimmy.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Is Ben Stokes the greatest English cricketer of a generation? Actually, don't answer that yet, because Swanny's been asking some of his colleagues in the West Indies about who the best cricketer of the last 2 decades is. So here's Sunil Gavaskar, one of the greatest Test batsmen of all time.
Yeah, food for thought, but
Yes, my favourite cricketer in the whole wide world is Graham Swan. Yeah, Graham Swan.
Embarrassing.
Classic.
I mean, I didn't expect
He was
to hear
loving
that.
it, really.
Yeah.
He was loving it, really.
I wonder how much he paid him to say it as well. Right, let's actually focus on Ben Stokes then. When he came to the crease, did you give England much of a chance?
Not really. Not when you saw some of the shots from the other tail ends. I mean, Jack Leach, he should have come in earlier. He should be opening the batting. I think he should be opening the batting for England. I mean, he got 92 against Ireland. But no, Ben Stokes, I mean, what a hero. I think while he was at the crease, he's come on so far, and it sounds a bit condescending, really, because we know what a great player he is. But in terms of his test cricket, he's got everything now. From defence, he can bat long periods of time, he can soak and absorb pressure. I think before, we just saw a one-dimensional Ben who came out there, would try and take on the bowlers, he'd have his day in the sun. Now he's the complete cricketer. And I think while he was out there, and with an able partner like Leach, and, he had obviously, Johnny Besto, who did a sort of put on a great performance, I think we realised we had a chance. But, I mean, who would have thought he would have come alive like he did?
I mean, the incredible thing for me is obviously one mistake and it's all over because Leach was at the crease and he had to face quite a few deliveries. But Ben Stokes, have you ever been in a similar situation or had a similar performance where you're so in the zone, you're so kind of tuned in that the cricket ball looks like a beach ball? It looks massive.
Mate,
it's
so
coming
many.
towards you.
I mean, when I played, the ball always seemed like a bloody golf ball when I played. Top of the order. But look, there are times where you're in the zone and you're just going. And I think what Ben needed is somebody to come in and say, "Hey, listen, buddy, I'm going to be here with you. I'm going to give everything I'm going to do." And that's what you got with Leachy, and that's why I think he's such a cult hero now, isn't he? Because he put his life on the line there. That unless they bowled an absolute beauty, he wasn't going to get out. And I think some of the other shots, could some of the other players done that potentially? But Ben, I mean, like while he was there, while he's in that zone, I mean, in terms of players who can pull that off, I don't think there are many others.
Are you a superstitious player or were you
A little
superstitious
bit,
player?
yeah, a little bit,
The reason I ask you that is because all the players in the dressing room sat in the same seats.
Well, I think the best one of all was when Ben Stokes actually used Leach's box. Did you hear that?
No.
Yeah, he got some runs with Leach's box in the last tour, and then he said, "Look, mate, I know this is a bit strange, but do you mind if I keep your box?" So Leach had to go down to the store and buy himself a new box. And he was like, "Look, if Ben Stokes wants my box and it's working, you have it, man." I hope he washed it.
Yeah, I was about to say that. Is it hygienic?
Not sure about that. I mean,
At what point when you were watching that Ben Stokes, masterclass, did you go, "This is actually a possibility"?
Well, listen, mate, I was actually in Scotland, of all places, huddled around a little computer trying to get some sort of dodgy Scottish Wi-Fi, which kept coming in. And I tell you, once he started hitting those sixes and you just saw it sailing over the boundary, you sort of thought, I think the belief, you could just feel that belief of like, this is going to happen. He was mishitting balls that were going for six. And then you look at that review, and it was just fate. It was just meant to happen.
He was out though, wasn't he?
He was probably out, yeah. And all that stuff. I remember Ben, I'm not buying it, mate, saying, "Oh yeah, clip my front pad on DRS, made a mistake there." I was like, I don't know, mate. I think you're plumb.
I loved it. Do you know what? I'm just going to say here and now, I absolutely loved it that they wasted their review.
I know.
It was great.
You couldn't wish it on anyone better, could you? The Aussies, come on.
It was superb. Right, Jack Leach, let's talk about our unsung hero. Come on. Like, what a guy. Here we go.
Sorry. Let me just... What was that? I'm ready now. Yeah, I'm ready. You can talk to me now. I mean, who has the time to do that in a pressure situation like that? I was actually worried because I thought, Leachy, Ben's on a roll here. Just let him go. Let him go. Don't stop it. But I mean, what a man. To take time to actually wipe the smudge off your glasses. I mean, I would have, I don't know what I would have done, but just got on with it.
Do you know Leach at all?
I know Leachy very well. I played with him at Somerset. And you know what? The reason why I'm so thrilled and why people are so thrilled is that boy has come from club cricket through university system to getting his opportunity at Somerset. And I remember him saying to me, "Nick, I've got this opportunity, this contract. I want to push every single last opportunity out of this." And he has. And, he's one of those boys done good. You know, he's honest. He gives you 100%. And I think to see someone like that go from, you know, those moments where I was playing against him, he was playing club cricket, and then suddenly to be playing Test cricket and doing that, I mean, it's just a great story.
Do you think his glasses actually needed cleaning, or was it all to get in the head of the bowlers?
It might have been a bit of both. I mean, you know, to have the confidence. I mean, look, he hasn't played 25, 30 Test matches or 50 Test matches. You know, this is a guy that's early on in his career. He's a left-arm spinner who's come in from, you know, the legend and good friend that is Mo and Ali, who's gone out a bit of form. You know, to sort of stop the game, say, hang on a minute, you know, I'm gonna make sure I'm ready here. And I think it's a great lesson for any young cricketer out there, is that so often we get caught up with our anxiety and, you know, he's ready, the bowler's ready, okay, and then you play at someone else's pace. But you watch the top players in the world, whether it be golf, football, you know, they take a penalty. It's about settling yourself, making sure you're ready. And I thought that was a great example for everyone out there.
Well, you're meant to be ready when the bowler's ready, ain't you? But Jack Leach was having none of that.
Sorry, mate. When my glasses are not steamed up, my sunglasses were steamed up in Scotland. You know, the weather was out. I mean, how he got out there and did it, I think it was just amazing.
Unbelievable. Well, the abiding memory of his innings, apart from his single, was his almost constant cleaning of his glasses, as we've just been discussing here. So we asked Jack Leach, how do you actually clean your glasses properly?
I think I got called Alan from accounts, and I feel like I probably do it like Alan from accounts. Little bit breath, like, and then if no cloth, then it's got to be the shirt, hasn't it? But yeah, then just give it a little scrub. I actually have an anti-fog cloth, so obviously with sweating and stuff, can get steamed up. So I try and do that every day to that's going to help it get less steamy. Although I haven't found a way of it not getting steamy yet. I didn't want me to get out and then them zoom in my glasses and there was like a drip coming down or whatever. So yeah, nice and simple, bit of breath, bit of a clean, and then good to go. Sorry, I haven't got more of a guide for you.
Jack Leach, what a man. What a man. Come on, we love him. You're watching and listening to Swanny's Cricket Show here on Joe, together with Rubicon. We're going to hear more from Nick Compton shortly. We're going to get Marcel Somerville from Love Island on the show as well. Plus, we're going to hear from Sir Viv Richards, an absolute legend. But first, here's a little something from Liquid Football.
My relationship, or what we couldn't really call it a relationship, with Mario Balotelli when I was there, I just didn't like him very much at all. Thought his attitude stunk, but man, seeing he let him get away with it every time, and that gave me the people thought it was funny, some players, and thought it was funny, but I just didn't like it. He'd turn up late for training. He wouldn't like rush in and rush. He'd just bowl over on his phone still, like, sorry I'm late, and then walk in, get changed, and stroll out when he wants. And I ended up having an argument with him. Well, not an argument, he basically smashed me. I ended up smashing him back, and then he like elbowed me across the face, and then I was running around the pitch running after him basically. So in the end we had that to stop it and
Could
put
you
us
not
on.
catch him?
I couldn't catch him. He's quite quick. He had a 5-yard head start, and we got put on the same team. And then it went into the dressing rooms and things were said, and it carried on. But I kind of washed my hands of him because of what had happened and the way his attitude was. But it never caused a problem for anyone else. After that day, I just never really gave him much attention. You know, if I was going to if we were in a game and he was there to be passed to, I'd pass him the ball, but I don't think it would ever affect the team.
That's the Liquid Football team with Kelly Cates and the boys here every single Monday. And don't forget House of Rugby with James Haskell on a Wednesday, TKO with Carl Frampton on a Thursday. We've got you covered here on Joe, all angles. This is Swanny's Cricket Show. I'm Nick Bright, and alongside me, the former England opener Nick Compton is looking after things for Graham Swan, cleaning his glasses as well. Mate. Come on, Nick. Graham Swan's in the West Indies, that's why you're here, by the way. I should say that. He's sunning it up.
Yeah, thanks, mate. Cheers for that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You just have a good time there. I'm actually going there tomorrow, so I can't say anything.
when am I going? Everyone's in the West Indies. Oh, bloody! Hopefully you can fly over that hurricane and you don't get any.
I know, it's touch and go, honestly.
Yeah.
I'm getting updates lively. It's going to be massive. I mean, it's going over the whole of Miami. Let's hope it doesn't hit Swanny, of course. We don't interrupt his tanning, do we?
Right, should we get a guest on?
Come on, mate, let's do it.
Should we get a guest on? Come on, you can do better than that. Right, our guest this week is a former member of Blazing Squad, a star of Love Island, and he's a long-time cricket fan. Give it up for Marcel Somerville! Come on, Marcel.
What's up, brother?
You right?
Good to see you.
What's going on?
How are you, mate?
I'm not too bad, fella. Not too bad.
Have you been enjoying the Ashes?
Do you know what? Like, like last week I was in Cyprus, but I was keeping updated on the win. Do you know what I mean?
So, the big W.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? Like,
So you were in Cyprus whilst Ben Stokes was doing the business.
while he was doing his thing, I was at my friend's wedding. But do you know what? Like,
a little sneaky peek into the toilet just to have a quick look.
We had it set up.
Did you?
Yeah. Shh, don't talk. Are they going to be seeing? They're going to be seeing this, innit? I wasn't watching the cricket during your wedding. I promise you.
I was talking to a mate about this yesterday. If there's a big sporting event happening and it's your wedding, do you just allow everyone to watch it? Do you think your mate would get the ump if he found out you were watching it?
Do you know what though? Do you know what? If it was my wedding and like it was like. I don't think I'd plan my wedding during like a World Cup final. You know what I mean? You wouldn't do it. It just don't make sense. It's like error.
No one thought England would get to the final.
Yeah,
that's why.
I'd say if there was a big sporting event during my wedding, I'd just tell everyone we're watching it.
Yeah, like pause it, big screen, set it all up, everyone can watch it.
And then the winning moment.
Do you know what I mean? Why not?
Just come on, faster, Vicar, faster. It's nearly half time. Ben Stokes, is he the best cricketer of a generation?
Do you know what? Like, I feel within England, Ben Stokes is the like the youngsters will know the name Ben Stokes because of all the things that he's been pulling off. Like the one catch was like.
We just need to get him on Love Island, don't we? I mean, imagine if we went on Love Island, he'd be a sort of national, more than a national hero.
I'm sure his other half would have something to say about it.
100%. Babes, we're getting a divorce. I'm going on Love Island. No, mate, I think he's definitely like the #1 cricketer right now.
The only downside from me personally is that this week he announced that he's a Tottenham Hotspur fan.
I know, I saw that.
Did you see that?
Oh God.
Yeah.
I retract my previous comment. Not on it.
So Marcel thinks that Ben Stokes is one of the greatest cricketers of a generation, but what about the greatest player of them all? Who does Sir Viv Richards think is the best English cricketer of a generation?
It's a good opportunity to say Graham Swan is one of my favourite people. He's not a bad bowler himself, is he?
The greatest bowler ever, do you reckon?
Yes, I'll put him in category of much better than a Pat Poker for England.
Thanks, mate.
Swanny is outrageous, isn't it?
You saw the handshake underneath. He was passing me.
I'm sure if you saw that again and you look to the side of the video, there's like 7 pina coladas there as well. Swanny's just living it up.
I'd love to have seen Swanny bowling at Viv, though, I could tell you.
What, to get slapped away?
Yeah, exactly. Just boof.
Right, let's talk about Love Island. And before I ask you about it, Marcel, as the person that's been on it, Nick, would you ever consider going on Love Island?
Absolutely. I considered going on The Bachelor many years ago, but I had to turn them down. That sort of small problem of playing cricket for England. So I don't know. I weighed up. Maybe it was the one big mistake I made. You know what I mean?
I feel like you'd clean up on there.
Do you reckon?
Yeah, 100%.
Tell me more about that. Yeah, really interested about that.
Confidence, mate. Confidence.
Honestly, what's the villa like though? I'm interested.
The villa is mentally in the villa. The villa is like it's a very daunting place to be, but at the same time you're surrounded by girls in bikinis, so it kind of balances out. The more weeks you're in there, the more relaxed you become around girls in bikinis.
God, sounds like paradise.
It's a dream.
Sounds like being in the Caribbean commentating.
Do you know what I mean? It's very similar. Very similar.
Right, let's try and steer this back to a bit of cricket. Marcel, did you ever play cricket as a youngster?
Do you know what? Like I used to play cricket like at school, and then I kind of went into a thing when I kind of got more into football. But recently, I played in a celebrity cricket match, and I was playing with like Phil Tufnell and all of them.
Little geezer.
And literally, like I felt so out of. I felt I was out of your depth. I was out of my depth. Like I was literally like I was on the field. There's nowhere to hide on a cricket field, innit? Like, do you know what I mean? Like it was like, Marsh, you stand there, and like literally, like there was no balls coming my way. And then all of a sudden, this ball was coming, and I was like, "Oh my God, it's my time! It's my time!" And as I went like that, I went boom like that, and like it literally went boom through, then bounced out of my hands, and I was like,
"Oh no!"
And everyone looked at me, and I was like, "Yo, this is me. I'm done. I'm gonna. Can I go?
Can I dig a hole? Can I dig a hole?"
Did they have you filled in the deep then? Were you like, far out?
No, I went in deep. It was like you know where the wickets are, right?
Yeah.
I was to the left.
Like
you were in the slips,
and I was in the slips.
They had you in the slips.
Yeah. It was mad.
And you dropped to...
It came over, like it was the only thing that I had to do the whole match.
Time, man.
My big shot, and literally, boom, and then Twitter blew up. Like literally, my mum was watching at home. My dad was like, "I'm ashamed."
How did you get on with the bat?
So
because you're sitting next to a proper batsman
come on,
here.
man. Show me what does your grip look like.
Do you know
Show me
what,
how you hold the bat. There you
it's-
go.
It's one of these,
Oh, that's pretty good, isn't it?
you know.
Hey?
It's one of those. Are you
I
getting
mean, you're
that?
kind
Are
of
you
out of the
getting that?
shot, but
You know what I mean? Like
That looks good. I like it.
yeah,
I like it.
I know the techniques, but it's just putting them into action, which I'm a bit shaky at.
Well, we'll see you on the Batfast machine in a bit anyway to see what you've really got, because you could just be lying to us.
I could be blagging it, but I reckon I'll show you some skills.
Did the Blazing squad have a team? I mean, there's enough of you
Do you know,
to have a team, surely.
There was enough of us to have a team, but like, I think we was one player short.
Just get the manager in.
Yeah, I don't think he would have been good.
I mean, hip hop and cricket, not the most natural of bedfellows. So, kind of why are you a cricket fan, or why did you like cricket?
Do you know what? I think growing up, because my dad's from Jamaica and my mum's from Barbados, and my granddad was fully into his cricket as well. So growing up, you used to watch. I grew up in the era when the West Indies were the best team, like Brian Lara and all that. And it's like, I think growing up at that age, like cricket was very much because Brian Lara had his game and all that kind of stuff. You kind of was very much pushed onto you.
Brian Lara was my hero as well. Massive hero.
Yeah, do you know
he
what
was
I mean?
a legend. Yeah.
He was a wicked batsman. So I think like having the star batsman coming from like where your family's from and all that kind of stuff, you're kind of you kind of get involved in it, innit? So I think that's kind of what made me really enjoy cricket from a young age.
Nick, we spoke about the kind of momentum, because I'm trying to bring it back to the next Ashes game, Old Trafford. We spoke about the momentum. The pendulum's probably swung towards England after what happened. But what about Ben Stokes? Because he had an innings of a lifetime, you know. Is there going to be so much pressure on him now, just naturally from the public, expecting so much expectancy on Ben Stokes to deliver something special again?
Yeah, it's a huge point. I think when you have that sort of success, not that I had World Cup success and won an Ashes series in the same year. I mean, the guy's done something that most players dream about, and he's done 2 of them in the space of a couple of months. So, I mean, it's the sort of period that he's had. I mean, emotionally, I think he'll be quite tired and quite exhausted. I think the way that he manages himself through this week in terms of media profile, I'm sure his agents are doing the right thing in terms of just saying, right, stay focused. We've still got 2 huge test matches to go. And Ben seems like that type of guy now. The cricketer he's transformed into is a very professional team man. He's vice captain. So I think he'll be very focused on it. I don't think it'll affect him as much as you think, but we need him to come up with some more good performances. Has he got it in him? I hope so.
What's Ben Stokes the Man like? Because, you know, we've seen him as this amazing cricketer who can, you know, take bowling attacks apart. But what is he like as a man off the field?
Well, I mean, let's be honest. I mean, a year ago, Ben could have spent some time in jail. He's not gone from there to being a sort of absolute legend in this country. And I think the way he's turned that around, I mean, says so much about his personality. You know, when I played with him in that South African series, I mean, he got the 250 in South Africa. I think I got 46 or something and hit a long hop to square leg. It felt like I got naught because I was like, oh my God, this is the best wicket I've ever batted on. He came out and just destroyed it. And I think it was then where I saw Ben the professional. You know, he's from North. He's got kind of a big personality on the field, but actually he studied his game. He spent hours working out the bowling and the opposition. So that really really hit home at me when I saw him doing that. And he's quite quiet. He's not as loud and gregarious as you think he is. He's quite quiet. He's quite studied, but he's got a good sense of humour. He's a great bloke.
So he's not like Swanny then?
No, he's a lot funnier.
Impossible.
Both from 81, Flintoff 05, Stokes 18. That's
Swanny 2000. Yeah, it's. I mean, they're 3 big players, very similar in terms of personality. Liked it. I mean, Stokes loves the ball in his hand. And I thought, actually, no one's spoken about it, but his bowling performance in the last Test match, for me, the captain needed someone to stand up and gave the ball to Stokesy. And I mean, his bowling's been a bit hot and cold recently, but my word, did he get England back into that game.
Right, speaking of Stokes, actually, let's get back to the West Indies to see who the former Indian Test star, AJ Jadeja, thinks is the best England player of a generation. Hopefully, the production team will have sorted out the Graham Swan-related glitch.
My favourite cricketer, all-time favourite cricketer, is Graham Swan, the greatest batsman that I've ever seen. No, off-spinner as well.
Good boy, good boy.
Outstanding fielder in the outfield. He's pretty good in the slips, I can tell you that. Forget about cricket. He's the greatest Englishman I've ever met. He's the happy lad.
This is really backfiring.
Oh, come on.
Embarrassing.
That is embarrassing.
Truly embarrassing.
I feel like that was scripted, personally.
I mean, what?
At least his pockets are lighter. Right?
His whole fee, do you know what I mean? He's been paid for this commentating in the West Indies. He's probably spent on getting, compliments and all sorts. Right, let's get back to reality then. Rocket's here, everyone. Come on, Rocket. Come on. It's been a while, Rocket. I don't know where you've been. You've been busy hanging out with the Impractical Jokers and all the rest of it in America. But you're here to do a minute with Marcel.
Yes, a minute with Marcel. Right, you ready for this?
Let's go.
60 seconds. Okay, your time starts now. Cricket.
Batsman.
Best ever cricketer.
Brian Lara.
Favourite cricket moment.
England winning the World Cup.
Football team.
Arsenal.
Film.
The Dark Knight.
TV programme.
Game of Thrones.
Ooh, music.
Hip hop.
Cartoon.
Ooh, Tom and Jerry.
Nice. Best feature.
My smile.
Worst feature.
My calves. I've got really skinny legs.
Animal.
Dog.
Car.
Mercedes.
Holiday destination.
Barbados.
Scared of.
Nuns.
Dislike. Nuns.
Have you watched The Conjuring? Like,
keep going.
Right, go on.
Dislike.
Slugs.
Food.
Oh, coleslaw.
Dessert.
Cake.
Party trick.
I don't really have one.
Strength.
Making music.
10 seconds.
Weakness.
Cake.
Love Island.
I should have won it.
Blazing Squad.
Best band ever.
3.
And that is...
Come on!
Legend, buddy.
Give it up.
Come on. Nice one, Rocket.
Cheers, guys.
We'll see you next time. Nuns.
Yeah.
Look, there's this film called The Conjuring, and there's a nun in it, and like I watched it, and for like it must have been like 3 weeks afterwards, I was seeing her in the corner of my room. It was weird. I was like, no, I can't go to sleep. Don't watch that film.
I watched The Exorcist when I was young, and I promise you, I've never slept well since.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, they have that effect. Like, the people that make them film are crazy.
Can't go to sleep, can't go to church either.
Yeah, do you know what I mean?
Coleslaw as well?
Well, you don't like coleslaw?
No.
What?
No.
Weird.
I mean, I would have thought
Strange.
burger or steak or something like that.
Coleslaw, like as long as it's a good coleslaw, I love it.
Which you can just like spoon a whole tub of it.
Spoon a whole tub.
Oh, mate, that is grim. That is
Crazy.
absolutely gruesome. Right, 4th test. The return of Steve Smith. That's going to be...
Sounds like The Conjuring.
I mean, well, it's going to be scary for England, to be fair. The return of Steve Smith.
It's ominous. The guy's an absolute legend. I mean, statistics. I mean, greatest since Don Bradman. The great Don, 99.94, whatever he averaged. I mean, England have got to come up with a way to get him out.
Yeah.
I think hitting him in the head's one option. I think we've seen the great Jofra Archer. There's been a bit of banter between the two of them, hasn't there? I mean, Steve's saying, Jofra hasn't actually got me out yet. He's hit me in the head and, I've had to miss a game because of it, but he hasn't got me out. And Jofra said, mate, you weren't on the pitch long enough. So I'm looking at this test match as being billed as the Archer-Smith kind of rival. I'm looking forward to it.
Who's the favourite for this 4th test?
Look, I think everyone in this country will say England, and I think as a fan, we're all behind England now. No one can wait for this game. But I think if you look at the actual teams and you look at the fact that Australia probably have been a dominant team, I kind of think it balances out. I still think Australia, with Justin Langer as their coach, I mean, if he stops getting them taking their shoes off and doing yoga sessions before each game, we might have, Australia want to get some of that aggression back. But I still think it's ours to win. I mean, especially with what happened. But Australia are a strong team. Don't count them out just because of what happened in the last game.
Marcel, can England do it?
Of course we can.
Come on,
England.
Come on.
There's no doubt about it.
Right, enough talking. I think it's time for you two to face some cricket balls.
Yes, come on.
Right, let's get out to bat fast.
Come on, Mars.
I'm ready.
Right, so we're out in the back fast area then, and what's going to happen this week is something a little different. The guys are going to try and replicate, you can see Marcel practicing it behind me, the guys are going to try and replicate Ben Stokes' baseball shot. Amazing baseball shot that went for 6.
So
I'm not that confident that they're going to be able to do it, I'm not going to lie. Like Marcel, even the way he's holding the bat is looking a bit suspect.
What do you mean? What do you mean I got this?
Right, I reckon I should get out of the way and let this happen.
Yeah, so you got a bat right.
Right, here we go. The machine's warming up. Marcel's at the crease. Ready
Get this
for the baseball shot. Oh!
You know what? Like
Almost had you.
That would have been in LBW, bro.
Yeah. Watch out, it's coming again.
I'm going this way, guys.
Here we go. LB. That's LB, you're gone.
I can't tell what's going on anymore, guys. There's balls flying towards me. This is crazy.
We're going to give you one more go. Right, here we go. This is it. Marcel. Oh! LB again. LB again. No bat on ball. LB again.
Whatever.
You've had it. Nick, you're in, mate.
Mate, Tim Payne's used up his referrals. There's nothing
There
left.
you go.
Right, they're just cranking up the machine to 90 mile an hour now for you.
Great.
Here we go. The bowler's running down. He turns. Lovely stuff.
Oh, he smoked
Look at that.
He smoked it.
First go as well.
That looked really easy.
First go. Marcel, what are you going to say about that?
Nothing.
Marcel, stop hiding.
Right, here we go. Second attempt.
I'm
Can he get back
ashamed.
on it again? No, he's out! He's gone! I mean, that was quite embarrassing.
I don't miss the ball.
For a former England opener to go out. How fast was that?
40.
Yeah, they slowed it down. Mate,
slow.
no one told me it was going to be a slow ball. What did I do? You know?
Classic.
Come on,
One more.
Everyone will
around the
forget
line.
about the one you smoked out the ground if you get bowled again here. Here we go. This is it. Oh! Just missed the wicket. Oh.
It's the bloody machine.
That was just
That's just like a Mitchell Stark Yorker. I mean, how am I going to reverse sweep that?
Right, so that's it from here in the Backfast area. We need to get back in the studio for Urban Crictionary. Come on, let's do it.
Let's have it.
Yes.
Right, before we go, let's dive into Rubicon's Urban Crictionary, a celebration of the weird and wonderful terminology used in the game. Usually, we give Swanny some cricketing terms and he comes up with a great story to match. He's not here, so what we're going to do instead is we're going to test Marcel on your cricketing knowledge.
Okay.
We're going to put a minute on the clock and you need to tell me what each of these things mean, okay?
All right, sweet.
Are you ready? See how many you can get right. What's a doosra?
A doosra, that's when the ball... I don't have a... That's a doosra. I was trying to make something... A doosra, that's when, a ball... There's two players go for the same ball.
No, the ball spins in reverse to an off-break.
Oh,
that's
yeah.
What, he doesn't even know what an off-break is. A jaffa.
Jaffa, that's when...
It's a cake. It's...
Come on.
No, all right, a Jaffa, that's when the ball, the fielder goes to catch...
No, it's a great pitch to play on. A cabbage patch.
It's a bad pitch to play on.
Yes!
Oh! Come on!
Yes!
Come on!
What's a lolly?
A lolly, that's... now I'm thinking of a dolly. Now, what's a lolly? A lolly's when the batsman...
It's an easy catch.
No, I was going to say when the batsman hits it and it's an easy catch for the fielder. That's what I was going to say.
A red inker.
A red inker, that's basically when the ball...
It's a not-out batsman. A Dorothy Dix.
Dorothy Dix, that is basically...
Think about it.
Six!
Come on, we'll take that! An Australian term for a six. Nervous 90s.
Oh, that's when you're basically well, I'm gonna say the batsman. He's nearly at a century.
Yeah, we'll take that. You're in the 90s. Cow corner.
A cow corner.
His face says it.
It's on outgrounds.
That's when the fielder's in the corner and the ball never really goes there, but it's the cow corner.
It's all right.
I mean, it's the leg side of the boundary.
That's what I said. The leg side. On the leg side.
A dibbly dobbly.
A dibbly dobbly. It's like when he goes to catch and he's juggling it.
It's like you're bowling, mate. It's like you're bowling.
A donkey drop. A dibbly dobbly's a slow delivery. A donkey drop.
Swanny.
Oh, Swanny. I'm just saying it because he said it. That's basically it.
Have that, Swanny. It's an even slower delivery. A dot ball. Come on, it's an easy one.
A dot ball. That's when you drop the ball.
No, come on, a dot ball.
Small ball.
It's when you
don't score.
No run scored off of the delivery.
Dot ball. I thought you said something else.
A rabbit.
A rabbit. I'm just trying to work.
A bad tail ender.
A bad tail ender is a rabbit. That's what it is.
Last one.
Go on.
And I think it's quite easy. A skyer.
That's when you just hit it into the sky and no, that's when the ball's coming down from you can't see it and you're like
we'll give you that.
Well, that's
4 out of 13.
I got 4.
Yeah, 4 out of 13. Well done, mate.
Nice
Congratulations. Right, that is it for this week. Thank you to Nick Compton for standing in, of course, for Graham Swanny. Absolutely nailed it. Swanny, don't bother coming back, mate. I think you've been replaced. Marcel Somerville as well. Come on, Marcel. Sir Viv Richards, Sunil Gavaskar, AJ Jadeja, and I suppose Swanny as well, because he did do a couple of videos for us. Don't forget Liquid Football, House of Rugby and TKO, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
You've been watching Swanny's Cricket Show on Joe, together with Rubicon.